One and two.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of North Kawartha Council on this lovely snowy April 7th. It's another snow day, which a lot of the kids are pretty happy about, and we are anxiously awaiting spring here in North Kawartha, but it's going to be a while yet, folks. Anyway, just to remind folks that are joining us that we do record our meetings and we upload them to our YouTube channel. So any comments or opinions that are expressed will be recorded and available for members of the public to hear. And before we begin with our business, council would like to acknowledge that we meet on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, in particular our neighbors from Kawartha Anishinaabe and Curve Lake First Nation. We recognize and honor the original people of this place we call North Kawartha. As duly elected representatives, we follow this Indigenous practice of acknowledgement to foster respectful deliberations, thoughtful collaboration, and wise decision-making in our service to this community. Okay. And now I will ask, is there any member that has a pecuniary interest with any of the matters coming before us today? Not seeing any, so we'll move on from there. Adoption of the agenda. I don't think we have any additions or anything to it, so mover to adopt, moved by Ruth Ann, seconded by Jim. All those in favor? The agenda has been adopted, and moving right into presentations, deputations, and we have John Levatsis here from the Chandos Lake Property Owners Association to talk about some signs. Good morning, John. Welcome. Please go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, winter needs to leave as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Listen, thanks for taking the time. I'm not going to take up a lot of time. I sent the package ahead of the meeting just so you guys could peruse it and have a look at it. It's, I guess, just pretty straightforward. I mean, what we'd like to do is that based on some of the data that we had that was accumulated through the boat cleaning station, the realization is that myself having worked at the boat cleaning station as well throughout a few summers, is that when you have somebody present, especially during the weekends, the encouragement that is provided to those, especially let's say people that are going fishing, but also people that are putting their boats into the water, whether it be a jet ski or whatever type of vehicle it is that's going in there that uses the lake. The encouragement provided by a active individual, just greeting and sort of educating the individual about the benefits and why it's important that they clean their boat. The incidence of people actually using the boat cleaning station increases exponentially. So I think it's cost prohibitive to have somebody there on a day in, day out basis, especially during the summer, because most of the action typically happens early in the morning. Let's say Friday, Saturday, Sundays, or a holiday Monday, whatever day that may fall on. So I think the presentation that the treasurer put together, Dave put together, is basically speaks to that ilk. So I think what we're looking for is to have the support of council, and if there's any opportunity to bring on a person on the weekends, and I think the full compensation will be provided to that individual through North Kawartha by the association back to you. So it's really of zero cost in terms of that. But for us to actually hire somebody, I'm not sure whether that's feasible. But if they're employed through the township, we would reimburse the township for whatever the cost is. And I think Dave laid out what the actual costs were. Do you want me to put this on the screen, or you guys already read through it? It's up to you.
We read it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to share your screen, you can, but we did read it. So
okay. So that's where that is. I mean, I'm just looking through it right now. You can see that you can see the heavy use happens in June, July, August, September, a little bit in May, towards the end of the month after the long weekend sort of comes into play. And then once the ice has left the lake, I guess you have a lot of the marinas putting boats back into the water. But the hope would be that any of the marinas that are actually stored where boats are stored throughout North Kawartha, is that they're actually taking the initiative to make sure those boats are cleaned and washed and ready to go before they actually enter into the lake. So that's part of the discussion. The other one is the signs. And this is where my sort of presentation comes in. So I've already presented previously, and I'm going to share my screen here. Can somebody turn the sharing on if that's possible, please?
I think Kelly's working on that right now. She's clicking away.
So I think what you'll see here is that we've already discussed where we'd like to have two signs. The first one on the far right, by the beach or by the launch, we want that to be dedicated specifically towards clean, drain, dry, bringing to attention of the boaters that it's highly recommended. We encourage them to clean and use the boat cleaning station before they put their boats into the water, and then subsequently after they remove the boats from the water. And then the other sign is at the entrance, at the far left entrance, which I'll go into. So I'm just going to jump to here. So obviously, clean, drain, dry is vital for everybody, especially for a lot of the lake community that resides in North Kawartha. It's a lifeline, a lifeblood of the community. That's why a lot of people choose to live here, because they want to enjoy the water, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's important, and we can use this as sort of a harbinger, a test case in the sense of how much the benefit of the boat cleaning station comes into play when we actually bring it to the attention of the people that are actually using their boats to go into the water and go fishing or just boating enjoyment for that matter. So just bring it to attention what the important factors are when they're actually bringing their boats in the water. Removing their plugs, cleaning all the mud off the boats, any type of aquatic vegetation that may be attached to it, etc. So I know that, and correct me if I'm wrong, it is a law that a boater must clean their boat when they're putting it in the water. Is that the case?
There is provincial legislation that has been passed to that effect. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not like we're just preaching to the choir here that it's self-serving. It's basically a law that they have to actually clean their boats before they go in the water, and subsequently after they remove it. So the sign that we want to put close to the boat, and I'm not just talking about a little, let's say a 12-inch by 24-inch placard that goes on a steel post and basically nobody pays attention to it. I think we have to put some sort of sign in there. That's whether it's a 4x6 or a 4x8 or whatever it is. And this is where I will work with North Kawartha. I'd like to work with North Kawartha in determining what the appropriate size of the sign would be, should you all be in agreement for it. So these are just some cut and paste ideas that I put together based on my sort of learnings and going through different websites and looking at what different communities have, whether it's any of these sort of reiterations. I mean, obviously we work with North Kawartha to come up with the final determination should everything be approved and you're in agreement. And then I'll just go here, and there's different sort of ideas. You can see the small sign here, and that's why I put it. I don't think that's going to make a difference. And that's just my own personal opinion. I would defer, but I think you have something of a little more consequence to actually bring to the attention of boaters or anybody using the water that they must. And again, I think Dave put in his presentation, we're there to teach, not enforce. But I think that you have to basically, now, let me ask you, is there a fine for not cleaning your boat if you put it in the water?
The province, I mean, it's provincial legislation, so it's up to them to enforce it, right? Yeah. So I don't know about enforcement, right?
No, I'm not talking, I definitely don't want to have enforcement. Yeah. But I just wanted to know for my own well-being, like, let's say if an OPP or provincial or officer actually found me putting my boat in the water and I had all kinds of vegetation. Is there a set fine that people get? Does anybody know if what that number is?
I am not aware that there are any monetary penalties associated with that. I don't know.
So anyways, I want this to be, we all at the association want it to be more of a teaching philosophy that people get into a habit of cleaning their boats when they're putting it in and cleaning them when they're coming out. Now, I know a lot of this is really focused. I mean, a large majority of the people on Chandos and other subsequent lakes, they put their boats in the water at the beginning of the year and then they take them out at the end of the year because they're there to enjoy Chandos Lake. And I'm only speaking about Chandos here right now. But there are a lot of boaters that come that do fishing in Chandos, and they're just not fishing Chandos. They're fishing all around the community, all across Ontario for that matter. Could be Quebec. I mean, I've even known of people that have come up from the U.S. to go for a pike tournament or whatever that they have on Chandos there. So it's not like it's just Chandos residents or renters or any for that matter that are coming to use the water that are putting it in there. I know that for those people that have stayed with me that are using their boats, I highly recommend it. I always have a pre-call before they arrive and let them know that if they are putting boats in the water, that they should be using the boat cleaning station before they do so. So I'd like to work with, I'm not sure if Gary's in the audience, but I have worked with Gary before and spoken with him to determine what size would be applicable. And this is, I remember I told you the last time I appeared that I would get back to you with some costs. For a basic sign, just sort of a placard sign, you're looking at about $1,000 to $1,500. And I am working with a couple companies just to sort of get an idea. One being, I think it's AGL Graphics and Sign in Peterborough, and another one that was recommended to me is BMR, which does a lot of the signs for the provincial government, I guess, road signs, the metallic road signs that are basically, glow in the dark or whatever they are. So we would work with the township. I would work with the township and whoever is appropriate. We need to, before I can give you an actual cost, I need to know what the size of the sign is that's going to be permitted for that particular thing. So my understanding is that a 4x8 is somewhere around $1,500 for the sign that would go near the water's edge. That probably doesn't include the installation, or depending on how we need to actually appropriately install the sign, what it needs to be situated on, or whether it's just poles or wood or just metal for that matter. But that's what we're looking at. The sign for the other entrance, though, and I've attached some rudimentary ideas. And of all the signs here, I mean, we have the ones that just are on sort of these wood support, and I don't think that's appropriate for where we want to put it. I'm more looking at the top two, where you have these sort of big wooden sort of supports that go right into the ground that provide stability in case of wind or anything of that matter. The one I favor the most is the one, and we would come up with some sort of design, is this one here. And I'll tell you the reason. It's sort of divided in half. So what my idea is this: at the top part, I'd like it to be the COP, boat cleaning station, Clean Drain Drive, brought to you by the COPOA. And we could put North Kawartha there because you do have a vested interest and you did contribute to the boat cleaning station. And on the bottom, we would use it as a revenue generating sign on both sides. One that you could slide a placard in and slide a placard out. So there'd be sort of a channel. That way we can derive revenue. And let's say the initiative that we're trying to do to have a part-time position during the peak summer months, that sign, the monies that are derived from the sign in terms of advertising revenue, we could devote that money specifically to that particular endeavor. So again, I can't give you a cost on this one. It's going to be more expensive, but I can't do the cost that we're going to incur until I know what the parameters are in terms of the size of the sign and then what we're going to construct it. But again, this is something that we would work with North Kawartha to determine, okay, and the last point that I'll just read. I don't have it. I think I sent it previously, but the communication that I had from John Ward at the Peterborough County, it says, since the signs are on private property, the County of Peterborough would not have any comment or stance on the size or double-sided aspect of the sign. There would be no preferred distance as long as the sign doesn't impede visibility of the driver or in the way of seasonal maintenance for snow removal. No permit is needed from the county, but typically we encourage applicants to reach out to their local township for any approvals on their end, which is what I'm doing right now. So again, I'm not looking for your approval today. What I need to determine is work with the appropriate individuals at the township to find out and ascertain what is the size that we're going to agree to move forward with. Then I can get the costs, and then I can get back to you very shortly thereafter. That in itself concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you, John. Okay, and I think we told you before too, we're on board with this. Like, you can definitely work with Gary to figure out the sign. So, but you are confirming that it's going to be 2 signs. But the focus in terms of the messaging will be different depending on the location. And Gary is on the call here, so I know that Gary's more than happy to work with you on that. Oh, and he's going to pop in. Good morning, Gary. Did you want to add anything to or provide some feedback to John?
Good morning, Madam Mayor, and through you to John. John, good seeing you this morning. I was hoping we were going to have some nice weather, but it's kind of weird talking about cleaning boats with this snow. But anyway, the sun's out, yes. From our last, John has been great to work with, by the way, Council. He has provided some good ideas and always been forthcoming with what they want to do down there. John, from my last notes from your last meeting with council did support the 2 locations that you had proposed today. And my notes from the last one were distance from the center line of the road. So specifically for the sign, we'll call it at what would that be? The south or west entrance? That sign there, because there's trees there. So how far is it going to be from the center line of the road? So that if it is 2-sided, one side isn't going to be blocked. And then, of course, my other notes from that meeting were size. How big were you proposing? I know you've got to get in contact with Matt, our CBO, in reference, to a building permit for building these signs. So I'm confident all that will be done per code.
Okay. So I'm going to, if Madam Mayor, if I could. So what I will do is that now I'm going to ask for, let's say, 3 proposals from the sign company, 1 for each sign, in terms of size and scope, and then get a cost. I mean, the cost is basically for us at the CLPOA, but then I will, through Gary, resubmit that in, and then go from there. And then the other thing is that if you could take under consideration and at some time get back to us with regards to the initiative with regards to having a part-time individual at the boat cleaning station to help throughout the summer.
Yeah, so we do need to talk about that. Oh, wait a minute, before we do that, because I see our chief building official has raised his little hand on the screen. So morning, Matt, welcome. I can't see you, but I see your hand.
Good morning, Madam Mayor. I'm having difficulty with my video, but looks like my video is going to start here. All right. Good morning. So just to let you know, the comment was made about a building permit because it is through a sign bylaw from the county, and the county is addressing it through that and saying they're not going to require a permit. There wouldn't be a building permit required. Building permit's only required if there's no sign bylaw stipulating the the requirements. So.
And I'm happy to share that with you, Matt, so you have a record of it with regards to that John Ward has said. So.
Yep. Okay.
All right. John. Thanks for that, Matt. Appreciate it. Yeah. So as far as the other requests go for Gary, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Madam Mayor. For clarification, Matt, the county is not putting this through the county sign bylaw. Because they're saying it's on our property, they're leaving it for us to deal with. They aren't dealing with it, as long as that's what you understand.
Yes, that's fine. It still is under their bylaw, but they're seeing as an exemption because it's on township property. So,
yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll be coming back to the sign once you have your quotes and everything for that. But yeah, with respect to the hiring of an individual, John, and I'm not sure if you're aware, but this request has come to us several times in the past.
And I did include the last, I think, the 2023 in the documentation I sent to you that I think Alana had addressed or was addressed to Alana, something of that nature.
Yeah,
did-
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a report that came to council. I don't know, Len, if you wanted to maybe speak to that, because I'm not sure that the township position is necessarily changed on that thing, but we can talk about it. So Alana, if you wanted to. Oh. Is it on?
There we go.
Yeah, it's on.
Thank you, John. Yeah, so I did look back through our notes and I know I had a brief discussion with Judy and Gary. So a lot of the things that we brought forward before would be, you know, where our concerns would be. It might be beneficial, we could maybe bring a report back to the next meeting of council. I see that there's a proposed salary, so we would have to see how that fits with our salary grid. And we would also need to create a job description in order to do the advertisement. I think we stated before, we think it's going to be very difficult to find someone who will work all of the weekends in the summer, but saying that if it's council's wish and council is supportive, you know, we could certainly put together a report. This employee, I think before we were talking about 2 students, but I'm getting that we're thinking about 1 student.
Well, I'm not sure. Well, I think that sorry to interrupt you, Lynn. I think that whatever would be appropriate if to have a person work there just every weekend throughout the summer is probably a lot to ask of a student in a sense. So, you know, if it needs to be divided into 2, I think we gladly welcome that. So just to let
Okay, also, we generally would pay, you know, a price for them to use their own cell phone. There's some, I know it said it would cover other costs other than payroll, whatever the cost of the township would be, so there are some incidental costs as well. I think we talked before about being concerned about shade or having a little shade structure for them as well. So there are a few challenges, but nothing that's insurmountable. And I'm seeing that you're looking at a cost recovery of 5,700. So we could take that back and come back with a report. I don't know if Gary wanted to add any other comments, or Judy if they're online.
I see Gary. I did see him. He's just like waving. He's back in the boat.
What I would add
Go ahead.
is that we have a meeting upcoming very shortly, a board meeting in the next, I think, at some point this month. So at that board meeting, I'm going to rehash the old report and see what the appetite is to all of the valid points that you just brought forward, and make sure that the board understands it so that they can address it, and then we can come back to you.
Yeah. Just before Gary jumps in, because I just wanted to speak to, because I know, because I've spoke, well, because I first came up when Alberg was president, and then Dave Taylor, and now, and then you've brought it forward as well. And I'm gonna put it back out there again, because, and I've said this from, like, first of all, I'm really surprised that on a lake of your size with the population, that there can't be some kind of coordinated, like, volunteer campaign. There's so many kids that, you know, need their volunteer hours. I am willing, and I'm offering it again. I would be happy to donate, you know, a Saturday or a Sunday or a couple of days in the summer to come out and to do it. I think there will be a challenge in terms of, and as far as the timing to start on the May long weekend with the timing of this now, like I think it's going to be difficult. And then I think about the safety concerns too. Do you have one person there because you're wanting them Friday night, but all day Saturday, all day Sunday as well? I think there's got to be another way that we can figure this out, right? Because I don't think it's the money thing. Like, I mean, I know you're going to pay for it, right? But it's all of the other logistics of it. It just that I'm kind of struggling with. So, and like I said, I feel like I don't want to volunteer council to go out there. I volunteer to do a ton of stuff, but you know what I mean? Like, I just like it just, I get it and I understand it and I know why you want to do it, and it absolutely makes sense. I'm just thinking, it's like, why can't we get people to volunteer? Colin, I saw your hand.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I was thinking the same thing. Looking at how much of a spike they have on Mondays, if it's as expected related to those long weekends, I would absolutely give up one of those Mondays because if that's only 3 out of 24 Mondays and it has that big an impact on the line,
Yeah.
I think that's worth further sort of poking. So I'd give up one of my holidays.
All right, well, you got two members of council ready to go for it.
And it's very much appreciated. I can honestly say that. But you would be surprised. I mean, and speaking to your comment with regards to getting volunteers, Carolyn, it's like pulling teeth. It's not an easy proposition. I mean, even through our events that we hold on the lake, I mean, we're always scurrying near the end of each event to make sure that we have everything properly staffed so we can run these events smoothly. Like for instance, like I didn't intend on being the barbecue person at the association, but now I'm the barbecue person. Everybody goes, John, you're doing it again? I go, yeah, I guess so. So, I mean, on top of everything else. But look, I think we're doing the right steps. Let's walk before we run, see what else transpires. And maybe we approach some high schools or the high schools and see if we can sort of solicit sort of volunteer hours and then actually have a paid per diem, etc. So we'll get back to you on everything after our next meeting.
Yeah, but further to that too, I just think with like the families that are on that lake, I mean, they're coming up for the cottages on the weekend, like tell the kids, like, you got one day this weekend, you're going to the boat cleaning station. And
I wish that was the case.
But anyway, sorry, Gary, I know you had your hand up before. Did you want to provide some comment?
No, you've pretty much, again, not to sound negative, I think it's a great idea, but you've pretty much hit on all the challenges that I was also thinking. So maybe what we can do is just Alana and Judy and we've all sort of discussed it. We can send John maybe an updated list of some of the challenges that we say. Again, not to sound negative, because we all support the idea. But yeah, it might be easier said than done with volunteers. Anyway, that's it.
No, and actually, no, I would support that. I don't know if you want a direction from council, but just to have sort of staff just to gather that information and send it back to John. Yeah, go ahead.
John, we brought forward this program. You guys used all of the money that was was put up for it, which we were happy to pay. To want a place to store it, we stored it. We told you right off the start that we would not get involved in personnel with it. And I haven't changed my mind on that. I don't want to use any more staff time up on this. My vote is advise the Sandos Lake Properties Association that we've done our part. There's so many things against this, and the same as my cohorts have said here, and I really worry about putting a child out there or a student out there for 3 days in a row through rain or whatever. In our case, it might even be snow, and or the hot sun without a hut or something that they could go into or have a place to set up their computer or so I don't see us getting involved in this at all. It's just too much logistics for the township. So
if I may,
sorry, but my vote would be no.
No, if I may, just add this. So what would prohibit us? Would we have to come through the township, let's say, to speak to the points that were just made, of constructing some sort of hut, let's say, that sort of thing, as a benefit to the community? I mean, let's say the association said, look, we're going to go ahead, and it's a valid point. People are out there all day. I know that when I worked the boat cleaning station, I was in and out of my car as a new automobile would pull in with their boat. I would get out of my car and go speak to them. But is that something we would have to work through the township because it's at the boat launch?
You would, well, I mean, that would be one thing to explore if you were looking at something like that, but I don't know that you want to get into constructing a little structure there or something. I mean, we could put up a tent or something that comes out, I don't know, but I think probably Alana had her hand up, so I just wanted her to sort of speak to sort of what we just talked about.
Yeah, I was just going back to getting the volunteers because, as Gary says, we don't want to be negative, but we know the challenges of trying to get staff that are gonna work all weekend. And there are some concerns about their age and if they get somebody who's upset, they have to have that person that they can call if they're alone. So there are challenges, but I'm just wondering about, I know that I'm sure you have tried multiple times to get volunteers through your association and probably put something in the newsletter about, high school students and their hours. But I'm wondering about reaching out to the broader community, if you maybe put something in the Apsley Voice, because there may be a lot of students that aren't on the lakes, but that still need those hours and have limited places to get them. So maybe a little bit.
You know what I think is the appropriate thing to do here? I need to take it back to the association. Because all the points that have been raised by the people on council and yourself, Madam Mayor, and Gary and whoever, is that, I mean, there are some logistic challenges here that are inherent. So I think that the association needs to revisit this and take a long, hard look. Is this something that we're prepared to really push to go forward with any further? Or is the real benefit here is to have a volunteer through the association, as let's say you guys have so graciously said that you would volunteer to have adults there on an ad hoc basis. But I think the real crux of all this is that the signs really are the preeminent thing that we need to do going forward. So I would ask that you please, thank you for all of the input. Leave this with me. I will take it back to my association, to the CLPOA, and let them know in no uncertain terms that this is probably going to be a heavy thing, sort of a heavy hurdle to get over with regards to payment through the having a staff member through the township, and that this really has to be a volunteer type of position going forward.
Yeah. Like I said, I think the money part of it is not the biggest issue, right? I mean, it's all of the other things around it. So anyway, if you're good with that, then John, we don't need any motions or anything. You just go back to your board, and I'll see you in a few weeks anyway at your AGM, and we can talk more then, I'm sure.
Something I wanted to double check, and I know that the GIS is not something that you go on for property boundaries, but are these signs actually on private property and not on the 620 road allowance? Because the one looks like it's on the 620 road allowance to me.
Well, as was communicated to me by John Ward, Colin, it's on private property. But again, I mean, we will make sure that it is on private property before we proceed with anything.
Yeah.
But I'm going based on the information that was provided to me by the county of Peterborough. So.
Yeah. If they're saying it's not theirs, then okay, not going to dispute it. So, okay, all right. Well, then I think that's all. So thanks, John. Appreciate you coming.
Appreciate your time.
That was great. And motion to receive John's presentation, please. Moved by Ruth Ann, seconded by Jim. All those in favor? That's been received. Thanks, John.
Have a wonderful day, everybody. Take care.
All right, take care. We'll see you later. Okay, and so now let me just close up all my stuff that I got open here. And we'll get back onto our agenda here. And up next is Peterborough County report. It's been so long. I feel like I didn't give a report the last time because we didn't have the timing. But anyway, there's just a couple of things. So we did get to meet our new general manager of operations, Rod Porter. So he has joined the county team. And tomorrow, coming up, a couple of things is there is a proposal on our agenda for an Alto strategic working group with representatives from the 6 townships that are being directly impacted. They're a part of the study group for that project anyway, so which I think is a good idea. There's lots of discussion. We all know about it. We're all hearing about it. People are taking sides and it's getting a little crazy, but I think it'll be a good thing if council endorses that to moving forward to ensure that everybody's communicating and making sure we're dealing with facts and accurate information. And then the only other thing is I noticed a motion that came at the last meeting regarding removing the term limits from on the warden position. So that's going to be deliberated tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. But otherwise, that's it for, I don't know if you have anything else to add.
Everything's closed session.
I know, we can't talk to you about that.
And I'm not sure if it would make sense to have all the township involved, or maybe just have one person from the not represented townships, but I think it's worth having someone that's a voice that's not in the sort of path of the construction, because we have a sort of different relationship with that
Yeah.
Alto project than somebody that is within that purple zone does.
Yeah, I am, and it's not that county won't have a voice, like, I mean, because there are all of us there at county. I mean, this is just a group that's specifically because they've got very particular interests, right, when it comes to that actual sort of the study area and stuff. So that's not to say that we're not involved. I think they're also like, because when I look at the membership too, I'm like, they're pretty close to quorum with the number of representatives they have on this committee. So I think they're trying to balance that, but it's certainly, I mean, it's not a group, from my understanding, that's going to be making like any major decisions on behalf of the county. So we're all still there to provide our input, right? Because I hear what you're saying, and I mean, I love trains. I want to get on a train. I don't want to drive anymore. Jim,
Well, not only that, but the train isn't gonna be in Peterborough,
it's gonna be in the county.
it's gonna be in the county.
Rob's not gonna be in the city.
Yeah, you can't even drive over the tracks, how can you put it in Peterborough? You know,
No.
so, no, it has more, it
The
has to
county
do
has
with,
to be at the table.
you know.
But we need it, one way or another, it needs to be addressed. So
But
anyway,
I'll vote for them to have a
Yeah.
committee for it, but I won't,
I don't think anything else would make sense. I mean, we need to be at the table. We need to be having regular, proper conversations with these folks and getting the right information out to all of the residents, because I think there's a part of that too. There's, it's becoming very polarized all of a sudden, and it's just, yeah, and we need to weigh the pros and the cons, right? I think one of the challenges, I know we've talked about it before, is just because it is sort of such a broad area, like it's really hard. It's like where, like, if they knew they were more focused in terms of this is actually where it's gonna go, then I think it would help to sort of focus people in terms of their concerns as well.
Well, the Eastern Ontario Wardens came out too and said that they weren't happy with it the way it is.
In its current form, they were very
Current.
specific about their words, right?
So, there's concerns about it.
Yeah.
All the way along.
Because I mean, like I said, like there's benefits, huge benefits, and there's also like some pretty big negatives depending on what side of the issue that you're on. But anyway, stay tuned, because I'm sure there's gonna be lots of
Lots
information.
of arguments both ways.
Lots of reports that will be coming forward as as we move through this process. But like you said, it's not gonna, they've already extended the consultation period because of all the feedback that's been coming in. So they understand. They have some work to do when it comes to communicating, right?
An interesting time to have this go on with the municipal elections that are coming up, and I know you can't dodge elections entirely, but I was, as soon as this came up, I thought,
What a
that's
good
unfortunate timing.
Everything, right? Like looking through that lens from the silly season, right? Everything takes on a whole different sheen. You can call it that. But anyway, the election sheen. Anyway, so that's it for county report. Can I have a motion to receive that, please? Moved by Colin. You want to receive my report? Dan, seconds, all in favor? All right, that's received. Crow Valley, you got an update for us there? I saw we read the brief on there, but
Yeah, it's something of a quieter time come March for the board at least, because it is the fresh ed season, so staff are very busy controlling water levels right now. Before we had the larger melt recently, we were actually a little low, but it came quickly back up to normal levels, and we're keeping a close eye to make sure that it's not spiking above it, because things do move quickly at this time of year. And then in the background, I know the DM continues to work with Conservation Ontario and the ministry as we sort of further our consolidation.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have a board discussion on the updates about the new representation and the new numbers in April. So if there's any input that people want passed along from North Kawartha, just be sure to pass that along.
okay.
The only thing that I sort of have a specific interest in is seeing how the Conservation Authority properties are gonna be handled and budgeted with the new new group. I know that there's some larger authorities that are concerned because it's sort of a big tourist draw for them, some of these.
Yeah.
But I see it as a chance where the gut driveway can't get much worse than it is, so we may actually get some improvements to the property. There's no sugarcoating that driveway, you know? I'm hoping that we can try to sort of leverage some of the bigger regional money up towards our little driveway there.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Okay. Are you
Good
questions?
luck with everything.
If there's no questions, motion to receive Colin's update, please. Moved by Jim, seconded by Ruth Ann. All those in favor? That has been received. Adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting of council. It was held on March 17th. If there are no, oh, go ahead.
We'd just like to put forward a minor clerical correction in that we had Gary Giraldi listed in the attendance list, but he actually wasn't there, so.
Okay then. All right, so motion to adopt those minutes as amended, please. Moved by Ruth Ann, seconded by Jim. All in favor? Those minutes have been adopted. Consent agenda. I did want to pull one out, and that was not actually one item out, which is number 5. And would ask if council will consider supporting the resolution from the Township of Greater Madawaska regarding the OSIF fund extension. Basically saying we just want to like keep it.
Which one is the OSIP?
The OSIP, you want me to actually.
No, what did we get from?
This community, if we get $100,000, isn't that the base? Because we get the base amount. I think I could be wrong. I can't remember, but I think that's right. We got an increase only because they had to bring us up to the base level, right? But like, you know how it is with the province sometimes when it comes to funding. It's like, we got it for 4 years. There's no guarantee. So this is basically saying like, just like do it, put it in and make it like tie it to like whatever cost of living or you guys, did you read the movement?
Can't lose anything. I move support.
Thank you. Jim Whalen makes that motion to support. Ruth Ann seconds, or Colin's gonna second it this time. All in favor? That is approved. Thank you for that. Can I have a motion, if there's nothing else, a motion to receive the balance of the consent agenda? Moved by Ruth Ann, seconded by Colin. All in favor? That has been received. Okay, so now we're into staff reports requiring action. First one up is additional office space renovation costs at 135 Burley Street. Good morning, Matt. Welcome back. No surprise, we knew this was coming and it's looking great.
Good morning, Madam Mayor. And good morning, Madam Mayor and members of council. So you have before you a report for some additional costs. We had discussed some of these at our previous meeting on March the 17th. There's a recommendation in the report that council approve the additional costs of $1,942.50, excluding HST, provided by Rubicon General Contracting Limited in change order number 3. And $1,794 excluding HST in change order number 4 with a revision 1 for the office space renovations renovation project at 135 Burley Street in Apsley, and an additional $4,850 excluding HST as quoted by Rubicon General Contracting for the construction of a sloping barrier-free concrete walkway and landing at the rear entrance of the building, and further that these funds be taken from the future capital reserves. So just as a brief synopsis, so the renovations are coming along nicely, but there was an additional change order in number 3, and that was for the supply of and installation of new ceiling tiles in the main area. Now, after this change order came through, the contractor did decide that they weren't happy with even keeping the original ceiling tiles that were moved into the other areas. So they opted to change out those ceiling tiles with no additional cost. So so that the additional cost for the $1,900 essentially was for the main area, but they've actually replaced the ceiling tiles throughout. as well as done some repair to some of the T-bar ceiling in areas. They've also changed the direction of the lighting in there so that it looks more uniform, and that was at no additional cost as well. So they've thrown in a few added bonuses for us. There was another change order number 4 that was brought forward, and that was for some outstanding items in the renovation, such as lever sets for the existing offices, like on the door handles, as well as a new exhaust fan. So the exhaust fan in the washroom that was currently there was not functioning, so that was needing to be replaced, and some GFCI receptacles in the kitchen and some other electrical items such as new breakers, which weren't working and also were the wrong size, and the emergency lighting battery pack was not working, as well as they found out that it was plugged in with an extension cord, so they corrected that and put a proper outlet with the lighting system. So so that deals with the change orders. There was also a quote provided for the, as noted in the recommendation, a sloping walkway at the back, as well as a landing. That's to make it a barrier-free access. It wasn't in the original RFP because the timing that we were originally going to put out the RFP was in the middle of winter. Now looking outside, we're still in the middle of winter, but they said that they would have opportunity to do this work for us if we chose to move forward with it. So they've provided a quote for this sloping walkway and landing. And so that concludes, I guess, the report. If council has any questions.
Okay, thank you for that. Anybody got any questions for Matt? Jim?
So Matt, it's gonna cost $8,000, which is about 10%. And we didn't allow for the 10%.
Yes.
10% over, at least.
Yeah, so that's noted, and for future projects, we're going to be including a bit of a buffer, I guess you could say, for our projects, because that's, like you said, it's typical once you get into projects that there's unforeseens, especially with renovations. Once you start opening stuff up, and there's things that maybe weren't thought of as part of the project. So I that is noted, Deputy Mayor, as well. So
yeah. Good. No, that's good. And you know what? I'm excited. Are we going to get a tour maybe at the end of the month, you think?
Yeah, so they're actually ahead of schedule. They're hoping to be finished by the end of this week. Originally it was supposed to be the 17th of April, so I think they're a little bit ahead of schedule, with the exception of the concrete ramp if it's approved. But we definitely want to set something up maybe after the next council meeting to do a walkthrough with council if they would like.
That'd be great. Okay, sounds good. Roseanne?
I was just gonna say, I'll move the recommendation.
Don't fight over it. Okay, well, it's looking like they're fighting over who gets to move it, but Roseanne is going to move your recommendation.
We both want to spend the money.
Yeah.
Which is a rarity.
For us both.
Yeah, moved by Roseanne, seconded by Jim Whalen. All those in favor? That's approved. Carry on, my friend. That's great news.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have Parks and Rec, the library boiler. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys did this already, right? This is approval after the fact, or have you done it and not done it?
Correct, Madam Mayor. This was replaced last week due to an emergency, due to a no heat issue. This report, this is a follow-up report to that, and I'll just give you a brief executive summary rather than going through the entire report. So the North Kawartha Library has a boiler, and that boiler provides radiant in-floor heat and it also heats the hot water. Normally when HVAC equipment fails, we get it repaired. No big deal. It's all part of the general maintenance. However, the heat exchanger failed in this a couple of weeks ago. And when we went to order the part, the company that makes the heat exchanger, Triangle Tube, went out of business. They went out of business in November of last year, and they went out of business due to, and I'll be careful here, but due to a number of lawsuits and recalled boilers they currently have. We looked it up, unfortunately, because they do have to replace thousands of boilers, but ours was not one of them. So their issues probably came with manufacturing about 2 years after this boiler was installed. They list all the serial numbers. We went through the serial numbers, and yes, unfortunately, ours was not one of them. So we couldn't even get the part that we want. They pulled the parts, they pulled everything off the shelves. So everything from this manufacturer was pulled off the shelves. There was no aftermarket heat exchanger. We tried to go that route. It was just impossible to replace the part. The only way to go was to replace the boiler. So at the beginning, the boiler was working intermittently. We'd have to go over once every few days, restart it. So we were hoping it was going to, last us until the warmer months when we could address it then. But it quickly began to fail. It got down to last week, not this past weekend, but the previous weekend, where we had to reset the boiler 3 times in one day alone. I was fortunate to get 3 quotes from 3 excellent companies, reputable local companies. And the quotes were all included in the report. Beatty Mechanical came up with, it was also important to me that we replaced the boiler with a Canadian-made product. So NTI is made and produced in Canada, in New Brunswick, actually, and therefore parts are very quick to get. They're readily available. One company said that they didn't have the best of luck with NTI, but NTI and the other company that was highly recommended both carried the identical warranty program. So there was no difference in warranty between Navien, who is very popular, but also a made in the US, but their warranty and the NTI warranty was the same. So we were fortunate because, again, NTI is made in Canada. We were fortunate to order. Once we got all our quotes in, we reviewed them. We ordered and received the boiler in 24 hours, and it was installed the next day. So although it got a little bit cool from, a couple times in there in between resetting the boiler, we were back up and running last Tuesday without any issues. So this should last us for several years to come.
Excellent. Thank you. Jim.
Pretty poor excuse, but I'll move the recommendation anyway.
It was cold. I can speak to it. It was chilly in there. So. Okay, so moved by Jim, seconded by Ruth Ann. All those in favor? That recommendation is approved. Okay, thanks, Gary.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Whalen. Thank you.
Okay. I'm just looking at the time here. Are we, Jason, are you going to do these reports, or?
I am.
Okay. Do you want to do them?
Sure.
You can do them from there. You can come up. Doesn't matter. Okay. We're going to go on to the public works then. We got 3 reports here. The first one is the Burley Street radar sign. They want to take it away from us. Are they going to put it someplace else though? Up here.
Well, that would be our hope.
Yeah.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, members of council.
Morning.
So yes, I am presenting these reports because these were initiatives that I had started. So I'm just trying to complete some of these things.
Perfect.
Yeah, so there was a request on March 11th from Peterborough County, and they want to remove that radar sign that's located just south of the library. In the report, you can see there is a bit of redundancy in that area with the other sign that they just installed prior to the school, the community safety zone. What we wanted to bring forward to council in the report, though, is that we know there's concerns with speeding through the hamlet. and wanting a speed reduction. So I think the municipality will undertake a bit of a traffic warrant justification type initiative where we'll compile data to see if there is speeding in that area truly. With the daycare center that's proposed, some vertical and horizontal alignment issues through town, and some of the intersects, we think there's justification for a speed reduction, but I think we'll put the information together, we'll bring it to council, and hopefully with that data that's in front of council at that time, they can support a request to the county for a speed reduction. So I thought it was important to put that all in the context of why we're saying that we don't mind them removing that radar sign.
That makes good sense. You got the one here.
Yep.
You know, it's at one end of the town, need one at the other end, and as you say, with the daycare and, well, just generally anyway, because people have a tendency, that's nice straight stretch, just boom, you know.
Yeah, well, we have concerns with that horizontal and vertical alignment too. You know, you've got the hill coming in by the garage, by Kent's garage, and then you've got the turn at Sayers, and there's some obstructed views.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have some concerns.
Great,
Mm-hmm.
great.
All right, is there anything?
The only other thing to like, it's almost worth standing and watching that newer radar for 10 or 15 minutes one day. Because it's not just my car that sometimes goes through without setting off the radar at all. Depending on the day, I think it's mostly just related to not having dust on your vehicle, actually. And it's like some days about 25% of the vehicles don't trip it. And then with the really tiny sign, I'm still not entirely sure that everybody knows that it goes down to 40 kilometers an hour, because I still see a lot of people plow through at 55 during that time, thinking that, oh, it's telling me to slow down because I'm 5 kilometers over.
Yeah.
What's going on in my mind. So as simple as it sounds, even just standing and watching it on a nice day gives some really good feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be flashing at that, and for like, you know, when it by the 40, not the 50, right? Like, it should carry on,
I
right?
bought too small a car this time.
Yeah.
It's sneaking right under.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget, we also put that request to the county about exploring the 50 kilometers all the way through, right? So I know that they're working on that, right? Pardon? 40, pardon, did I say 40? Sorry, yeah, 40, that's what I meant. Right, so. Anyway.
If I may,
Yep.
Madam Mayor, part of that justification is we do have the Black Cat in our possession.
Yep.
So our intention is to install that at some point in time and collect some data there. As Councillor McClellan has kind of indicated, that I think probably what we're going to find is some of those things that signs maybe not picking up, the Black Cat will, and give us some real data on what the speeding is or what the speed looks like through town.
Where is the Black Cat right now?
I
Over at the
believe
yard?
in Kelly's office.
Oh. Are you speeding a lot, Kelly? Snooping around? Yeah, I think that would be a good thing because, yeah, you know what, when we purchased that, when we had our own individual police service board, we put it to a lot of good use, mostly on Highway 28. And I know that we can still do that with OPP to put it up. But yeah, I definitely think we need to get it out of Kelly's office and get it on the streets, right?
So you're just gonna work with Peterborough County and set it up?
Yeah, I think actually Edward and I internally are gonna put the warrant together, the request and all the information, and then we'll bring it to council for support. And then we'll send that support off.
No, I was just wondering if you need to bring it back to council. I think council supports.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Wherever you want to put it.
But I mean,
Because
you're still gonna wanna bring it
you'll
back.
work out the best spot for it.
They're still gonna bring it back though.
Pardon?
They'll still bring it back. I mean, we're gonna approve this, but they're still gonna wanna update us on what the findings are, I'm sure. I know you're trying to make it more efficient. He doesn't wanna hear from you guys ever again, but I do.
More deficient.
Anyway, so. Hey, what if it's a no? Then they have to come back. Anyway, do you wanna move the recommendation or not? Okay, Jim's moving the recommendation. Ruth Ann's gonna second it. All in favor? That's approved. And on to your next report.
Right, so this report's asking or requesting council's support for enter into agreement with Miller Paving for microsurfacing services. This was discussed at our capital budgeting where we discussed microsurfacing Shibutica and Napier. Also to remediate some of the heavy tracking, or we term it rumble stripping, that was caused during the 2022 windstorm.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a clarity item, and we participated with Peterborough County on the microsurfacing tender.
The recommendation is there, folks. Moved by Ruthann, seconded by Colin. You want to second that? I got limited options here. All those in favor? That's approved. Thanks, Jason. All right, your last one.
The last
Can I
one.
just ask one question on that? We're gonna be able to do all the things that we, like, Altain Road that we didn't get finished, or gonna do it, plus all the other ones that we had on the list?
That's the plan, yeah.
Like if Mother Nature cooperates.
Yeah.
Does it have to stop snowing before you?
That'd be good.
Yeah, barring weather events.
Yes, exactly. So, okay. All right, on to your next one then, please.
Okay, so the next one, I've got in the recommendation that council passes, but I think more what I'm looking for is an endorsement of the note of motion from AORs. And I've got to be, I think for us, our residents have been professional and they've been very kind, and we haven't had these issues. I think what this is support is more of a proactive type initiative where creating stiffer penalties as a deterrent for the behavior. And I know, like I said, we're fortunate here, but incivility is becoming more prominent. So I think they're just trying to get ahead of some of these things. And I know there was a sidewalk plow operator in the city of Peterborough that was assaulted this winter. So some of that's where these initiatives are coming from.
Yeah, it's pretty sad though to think that we gotta, and get these kind of legislation or whatever rules, just that, aren't we adults? Can't we manage our emotions? Like, right? Like, seriously, I just don't get it.
I don't know.
I'm resorting to,
Just his pretty.
well, maybe that's the reason. He's setting a great example for everybody else. It doesn't matter.
He is the reason.
He's part of it.
Made it okay.
Well, yeah. Anyway, let's not talk about that. Get me all fired up on this Tuesday morning about Trump. All right, well, the recommendation's there, and I saw there was already something in our consent agenda about it. Like, this is going to be making the rounds to all municipalities, and I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
Colin?
move the recommendation.
Perfect. Seconder? Ruth Ann, all those in favor? That's proof. All right, thank you. Now, I see you lovely ladies just came in, but I was gonna call a break. But is that, do you want?
We can do.
Well, Jim wants to hear from you. Perfect. Come on up, Judy. Talk about, oh yeah, the money. We love this one.
So this is, the grant agreement is to do with, Honorable Dave Smith. When he was here, he mentioned the $50,000 that we were getting. Unfortunately, they sent the agreement and it was a quick turnaround time for us to get it back, so we couldn't bring it to council. We used the
Delegation.
Yes, bylaw. Where the mayor and either the clerk or treasurer could sign the agreement. And so we went ahead and did that and submitted it. It's all in done. So you just have to spend the money and spend it and receive the grant money, and we're good.
There you go.
Got nothing to say about that one except move the recommendation.
Yeah. That was easy. Seconded by Ruth Ann. All in favor? That's been received. Okay, and the next one is it's that time of year. You gotta do the reporting. So it's the statement of remuneration.
I don't really have anything to say about it. I think you've all seen it.
Yep.
If you have any questions, Judy would be happy to answer.
No, I don't have any. Anybody have any questions or comments on that? It's pretty straightforward.
Just, can you send me a check for what I have left over?
Sure. No, I use
It's a different report.
It's not individual anymore. It's all shared.
It's kind of in the same pot.
The whole one pot now?
All one pot because I need it.
Carolyn did that. My goodness.
I know, so
I
you'll
knew she'd
have
get
to,
around my money.
We'll have to get the check from her.
yeah, okay. Anyway, questions, comments? Anyone?
Move to receive.
Move to receive what we were paid. Okay, moved by Jim, seconded by. Howard. Judy just gave us some money, now you wanna come take it from us. No, that's all good. So the first one, I'm excited about this first one. Let's go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, for the first one, it's exciting that the township is hosting the Teeny Tiny Summit in 2026. So we're one of two communities hosting the in-person summit. So it falls in. This was announced in March. So in terms of for budgetary purposes, it wasn't something that staff could budget for during the process. So that is why I'm here today, looking to request, staff looking to request $2,000 for the general reserves, from the general reserves for the support the costs associated with this event. It is a ticketed event, so some of the costs for the event will come from ticket costs as well. There will be some contributions from the province through Roma and the county as well, but this will be our contribution to the event for the $2,000. And this will mostly be hosting related costs, either tickets for our paid speakers and other hospitality related costs during the event itself.
Anybody have any questions or comments? I hope you guys.
You've been to one of these.
I have. It's very worthwhile. I went to it last year in Picton and Peter Kenyon was there, and I've seen Peter before, and actually just we had the virtual one last week, which was awesome. I don't know. I sent the link out to you guys. I know Ruth Ann was there, and Edward was there too. These are really great events. Like, you cannot help but leave these events and be inspired. Like, there's just so much, the networking, the collaboration, the ideas you hear. And the thing is, it's bringing like the local folks together, and like, and I don't mean just like North Forth, but local in our community. We're like, we've got it, like, this is tentative, but I mean, I think we're pretty good. Like Curve Lake going to be there talking about like aquaponics, but also about petroglyphs. And it's just, the theme is building hope in uncertain times. And we've got the, you know, like the local artisan kind of a theme as well too. I'm going to be there. Jeff Sayers, actually, he confirmed he'll come with me, talking about is it sort of like, you know, navigating through crisis. And we're talking, so like with the fire, we got folks from Lakefield there to talk about, you know, the loss of the home hardware, ice storm. Like, it's, you know, this is a reality for a lot of communities now, is like we're living through these kind of crazy times and having to deal with crisis and challenges, and how do we do that? And one of the ways we do that is through community and through building those connections, right? So it's a great opportunity. The idea is they try to keep the costs down anyway. I think like we're like even with our ticket, I think it was like $50 as a ticket, which is kind of at the high end. I think Picton last year was 40 that I paid, but they try to keep it accessible that way. And yeah, I think it's a great thing. We've worked out a little bit of a deal with our local service groups. So I'm providing tickets for representatives from each of the 6 organizations in our community to attend, because I think it's super important that they go there too. And like I said, it's awesome, the synergy that happens in that room when you're meeting with people, and it's like all the things of like, how can we do things? It's not just about, oh, these problems, we can't figure out how to, you know, make it better. It's like, no, here's people who have done amazing things in their towns. And I think we're very lucky to have it, and hosting it at Burley Falls, perfect location for sure. So I'm in support, obviously. What does everybody else think? Sure, Colin.
Yeah, and I'm of course in support of it, and I don't think it's worth trying to divvy up the $2,000, but that is an area where 3 towns intersect, and rightfully so, the other towns are going to be bragging about this as well. So if there's an opportunity to get some support from our neighboring townships there, I think it's appropriate.
Well, the county is like it is, because it's kind of, yeah, so they are kind of, we're just putting a little extra in. We want to have some really nice swag, North Kawartha swag. But yeah, no, we are getting that, because it wasn't even sure whether or not, like, we weren't sure at first whether or not that we would make a contribution. It's just the way things have worked out, just with some of the costs, right? That's why Edwards brought this report forward, so.
Well, I'm disappointed
Why?
because I thought this was about homes. Teeny tiny. homes.
Oh, don't, can we talk? We can't really say, just you wait,
Okay.
stay tuned. Okay? Okay, I know, we're on the same wavelength, my friend, but just stay tuned on that, more to come.
Okay.
Usually saves that look for me.
Turn around, Ruthann.
I'm pretty excited about it, but I'd like to move the recommendation.
Perfect. All right, is there a second for that? Seconded by Colin. All those in favor? That is approved. All right, thanks for that. And next up,
Okay, for the second report, staff is looking to discontinue the downtown revitalization process as kind of approved through the Rural Economic Development Grant. Now ROD, then grant when it was approved, previously BioMAFRA, which is now just Rural Affairs. And in the report kind of speak to the reasons why. So when the original grant application went in and where we are today, there's been, numerous changes. We had the creation of the planning department, which has undergone some changes since then. The comprehensive zoning review process, which is started and paused since then. And then we've had the OP, which first was delayed in terms of approval. And now with the announcement on March 31st with standardization and a movement towards machine readable official plans. As of right now, I've asked, we haven't, at least I've not received any clarification whether the OP that's waiting for approval will be approved at this point, or now if the process will start again. So in light of that, it's not, I wouldn't say that having a master plan is dependent on all those factors, but it's really driven by those overarching planning principles, and it'd be kind of hard to do it in isolation.
Right.
So I think at this time, staff, we continue to move ahead on other aspects that are improving the downtown that we kind of have more control over. So for example, going out for public consultation on a revised CIP, as talked about here with 135 Burley, that, renovations at that, 143 Burley, that working on the tendering for that. The kind of, I would say, like the traffic review process that just came up with Jason to traffic warrant, but potentially traffic calming measures, which could also tie in from a walkability and mobility aspect within Apsley. So I want to make clear that we're not necessarily walking away from the master plan, but at this point in time, kind of with those larger overarching planning uncertainties, that putting that on pause, working on those projects that we can mostly do in, I don't want to remember, with mostly staff resources and not requiring consultants at this point in time. But once there is more clarification on those, then looking at maybe going ahead with a new grant application, and I think we'll have more information and more clarity. But at this point in time, with that kind of fluidity in both those, which would really be important on the downtown master plan and those uncertainties, putting that on hold and working on those other projects instead at this point in time. So since it was a cost reimbursement grant, no money has been received through Rural Affairs at this point in time. So it's more just a formality in terms of notification to Ministry of Rural Affairs now that we aren't proceeding for the rest of this year on that grant program specifically at this point in time.
okay, and it doesn't necessarily tie our hands if for a future one, right? But because we're saying no to this, right?
No, and I think at that point in time, we might have some more information and maybe more parameters in terms of what that master plan might look like in specific outcomes through in the document itself.
Right, okay. All right, anyone? Questions, comments?
Move the recommendation.
Okay, straightforward. Seconded by Ruthann. All those in favor? That's approved. I do think though, just thinking about that, what you guys are working on with respect to with the county and the warrants like that, because part of the thing and it's great that we're talking about a downtown master plan, but we do have those ideas that have been percolating around and we're moving forward on a lot of them. But I think that one thing, and I have spoke to county staff about as well, which was part of the request behind the reduction to 40 kilometers all the way through, is that idea of making it that center, the downtown of absolutely that center area, like no parking along the sides there, making it more pedestrian friendly, creating that seating, green space, whatever space, like in front of, you know, in the courtyard of the old bank building, right? Like all of that kind of stuff. And we don't need to have this grant necessarily to work on those things. We can still do it ourselves, right? So, okay, that's good. Perfect. And is that it for you? That's it for you. Yeah, we're on to Connie now. All right. Thanks, Edward. And Connie, this is sign of the times. We were getting prepared for these kind of things to start happening, and here we are, right?
Yeah, that is correct, Madam Mayor, and council did approve a grant program for cemeteries with the hopes that it may alleviate some of the stress on the private cemeteries and they would not become abandoned. Fortunately, with the Glen Alda Community Cemetery, the operator did approach us quite some time ago to indicate that there was a struggle to continue maintaining this cemetery and to cover the insurance. There's been a lot of moving parts to this, and we're basically working through them as they come forward. But the recommendation on the first report is that council authorize the clerk to sign the Bereavement Authority of Ontario's cemetery transfer and acceptance by mutual consent form to facilitate the transfer of the Glen Alda Community Cemetery to the township. And further, that council directs the municipal solicitor to proceed with the transfer of cemetery lands to the township. So the attached form does set out what the municipality is agreeing to. And it is accept the responsibility for the operation and maintenance of the listed cemetery, accept all records, maps, and historical documents, accept and administer the funds from any existing care and maintenance account fund, accept the ownership of the cemetery lands. So the operator of the cemetery has signed this form that is the first step. And it's coming forward to council to get approval for me to sign the form. I also wanted to point out that should a cemetery become abandoned, it's a much more costly process to go through the courts. So it is commendable that the individual has come forward and brought the concerns, and in addition provided all of the records. There is the second report will actually deal with the funds, but this one is just to authorize the transfer, basically. I have consulted with John Ewart, and a title search has been done. The lands are in ownership of 3 individuals who are all deceased, so that's going to be a process. And the Bereavement Authority has to approve all this as well. So it's getting this process started. And nice to have in the office the records that are available. There was a couple of reports that were missing that the Bereavement Authority wanted, so we were able to complete those with the operator, get them sent in. They have approved the 2. There's a Form 1, which basically sets out how many internments that happen in a year. If you go beyond a certain number, you have to pay. Typically, none of our cemeteries have that many internments, so it's just a process to complete to submit the numbers. The second report that they require is more complex because it involves the funds, and they're looking to make sure that funds that are received for monuments and sale of plots have been placed in the care and maintenance. And so those forms have all been completed and approved and up to date so far. So we've been working on this for a while. So that is the motion for this report, unless council has any questions.
I just wanted to know, I mean, because you haven't identified the individual. I don't know if there's an issue around that, but I just would want to thank them personally. Would that be okay? Like, can we actually say who it is or no?
Yeah, we haven't provided the information or address because the
Yeah.
individual uses their personal address, but I think he would be fine with that.
Well, it did actually, I mean, I know you redacted some, it is, yes, but there is another part in the report where it actually says his name, so.
Oh, is
But I
it?
just, yeah, Dave Weiss is the
We tried to
one.
watch all those and.
He has been a former member of council many years ago, and he's been very active, with this, and like you said, he's been doing it by himself for well over a decade now, so I want to just extend, thanks and appreciation for, maintaining it as long as he had, but I really appreciate that he did come forward and let us know. Like you said, it would have been much more challenging if, if it hadn't happened this way, so our thanks to Dave Weiss for taking on that job for so long and passing the torch on to us.
Yeah, and one of the owners listed was actually his grandfather.
Wow.
And so it does have, he's
Yeah.
quite relieved to be able to see that it's being looked after.
Right.
If this cemetery was affiliated with the church, it would be the responsibility of the church, but in having a title search done and based on personal knowledge, we're not coming up with this being
Right.
associated with the church. There is also a cenotaph in the shed there too, which we have to,
Maintain.
hopefully get a tour when the snow is gone.
Yeah, for sure.
Just one other thing too, although this cemetery has been selling plots, we don't want to do that until it's done and we've got the bylaw in place and we've addressed that. Also, our other active cemetery, which is Clydesdale, plots aren't sold there, but there is room to do that, and it's something that council will maybe have to consider when the bylaw comes forward, because it will generate some revenue.
Okay, but we can only use the interest.
That's right,
Yeah. So, but that's
Yeah.
a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to be having it if we're being, now taking on ownership and responsibility for these. I think we need to understand this a bit more, because I know it's not a simple matter. Jim?
Connie, did I read in here that, they're still selling plots?
Yeah, that's what she did, yeah.
So who handles that?
Mr. Weiss, the operator, has been handling it. And he has advised us that he's willing to do what he can until the transfer's complete.
You know,
So I know there is an internment that's coming up there, so this probably won't be complete by then, so he'll likely handle that one, so we'll just,
okay, but what department here would handle it?
it'll be the clerk's department
Oh,
and
clerk.
Parks and Rec will be involved for the maintenance.
Okay.
So there's some things that the new clerk will need to learn that we haven't had to do before.
He's hiding over there. His head just went down.
All right, well, and look and Gary's shocked. You're gonna be cutting more grass.
Gary heard his name.
Okay, all right, well, there is the recommendation there, and Ruth Ann's going to move that. You want to second it, Colin? All those in favor? That's approved, and you basically touched on your other report too. This is the money part of it,
Yeah.
right? So,
The good news with this one is this particular cemetery has quite an amount of money in their trust, which upon looking at the records, it appears that it generates about maybe $600 a year in income. So our current cemetery account generates such a small amount that we just leave it in there. And Judy and I did meet with the Royal Bank to talk about these accounts and how to move forward. So we, it may end up being one account where we keep track of the interest, or
right,
it might be an interest account and then an operating account. We're going to work that out. So.
okay. Perfect. There is a recommendation there. Somebody would like to move that. Moved by Colin, seconded by Ruth Ann. All those in favor? That has been approved as well. Thanks, Connie, for all your work on that. And that's it for sort of the regular business. We just, I need a motion to go into, we're gonna have a recess. I will declare a recess, but before we do that, I'm gonna declare, or I need a motion that we're going into closed session pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act. This part of the meeting is to be closed because it was dealing with litigation or potential litigation and also a position plan procedure criteria, et cetera, applied to negotiations. So can I have a mover for that? Moved by Ruth Ann, seconded by Jim. All those in favor? We are going into close, people. Thank you.